So let's just start from the beginning with the bowl game. So Appalachian State, North Texas.
All right.
All right, why don't you intro us this time since I did last time?
Welcome to Top 25 Sports Podcast. I'm Jackson. That's Zach over there. All right. We've waited a long time for the second episode of the podcast. We had technical difficulties and we took a break for the holidays, but we are back. Second podcast episode. How are you feeling?
I'm doing great, dude. I'm ready to go. Just ready to get moving on this podcast. I mean, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of bowl games went down. And the two playoff games went down. So ready to go here.
And over the holidays, I got myself a better microphone, so the quality of my audio will go up.
I have gotten an audio mixer and some editing, so it should be better now.
Podcast quality will go up over time.
Yes.
As we get more equipment and more access. All right, so let's start. We got the bowl games.
Let's just go right from the start of the bowl game. So starting with December 21st, there was Appalachian State and North Texas. Everybody expected Appalachian State to win this game. They won 56-28. They dominated.
It was a blowout.
Appalachian State rushed for 350 yards and just ridiculous.
But... yeah, that's a lot of yards. All right. You got the famous Idaho Potato Bowl.
Ooh, yes.
Another crapshoot bowl game. You got Tulane versus Nevada.
Nevada, not bad.
Nevada destroys them, 38-27. Got the Boca Raton Bowl. I hope I said that right. Got UCF versus BYU. BYU blows them out, 49-23.
Everyone expected BYU to win this game. UCF has not been good in a long time. Not a long time, but they haven't been good in a handful of years.
UCF was good last year. UCF, they're not good this year. All right, you got the New Orleans Bowl, Louisiana Tech versus Georgia Southern.
Georgia Southern put the whooping on La Tech. I watched the game, but I'm not sure who's a big favorite. I'm guessing it was Georgia Southern because they're 8-5 versus 5-5, but
I didn't even know
I'm not really
Louisiana Tech existed until now. So yeah, all right. You got Memphis versus Florida Atlantic. I didn't expect Memphis to lose. I thought Florida Atlantic could take this game, but yeah. Didn't really.
There was a great catch in this game. I'll put it on the screen right now. It's pretty crazy. Put it up right now.
All right.
New Mexico Bowl, Hawaii Houston. Hawaii did obviously won the game by 14, but nothing.
Yeah. Christmas Eve game.
Nothing
you got
giant.
Camellia Bowl. You got Buffalo. I'm pretty sure they're a star running back who rushed for an insane amount of yards. He sat out. So Buffalo only won by one score.
Yep.
It's 10-17.
Yep.
All right. You finally start getting back into ranked bowl games. You got Louisiana Lafayette versus UTSA. First Responder Bowl. Louisiana Lafayette wins on a touchdown, 31-24. Yeah, Louisiana Lafayette, I like them this year. Shame they didn't get to play Coastal Carolina in the Sun Belt Championship game.
Upsetting loss for Coastal. Yeah. I wanted them to win. I think you did too.
Yeah.
Upsetting loss. But if either team can stay competitive, I'm okay with that.
It was a competitive game, a good ending. I didn't like that Coastal loss, but Liberty deserved the games. So, I'm disappointed, but fine.
Yep.
Fine with it. All right, got the Cheez-It Bowl. You got 21 ranked Oklahoma State versus number 18 Miami. Oklahoma State wins by a field goal. I didn't expect Oklahoma State to win. Miami, even though they had a huge loss to North Carolina, I like that Miami team, and I didn't expect them to lose. So there's that. Yeah. All right, you got the Alamo Bowl, Texas versus Colorado. Obvious win for Texas against an unranked Colorado team. Texas, they blew them out, 55-23. Colorado looked inept against Texas. Duke's Mayo Bowl. Got Wake Forest versus Wisconsin. Oh, did you see that? The Wisconsin, they broke the Mayo Bowl trophy.
Yeah, they dropped it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
kind of funny. All right, we got the Cotton Bowl Classic getting into the New Year's Six games. Got number 7, Florida. There's number 6, Oklahoma. Kyle Trask, a Heisman finalist. He throws a handful of picks.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's dive
And
a little bit more in deep than in this game here, since it's a very important game. Kyle Trask throws 3 picks to 158 yards, so he doesn't even throw
no
for 200
touchdowns.
yards, no touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Steven Rattler, who was rough, like very rough to start the season, throws for 250 yards and 3 touchdowns. Florida's running back, 60 yards on the ground, over 10 carries. Oklahoma's running back, almost 200 over 20 carries with a touchdown. One of Kyle Trask's interceptions actually was a pick six as well. Receiving yards wise, obviously, since Kyle Trask didn't throw for anything, they didn't get anything in the air. In terms of team stats, Florida did finish with 521 total yards, but those were mostly between the 20s. They didn't really finish drives.
Yeah. Florida, they had a lot of guys opting out, and they struggled, honestly.
They struggled.
Let's see.
All right, moving on from that, we'll move to the next bowl game, which will be. When do we do the Armed Forces Bowl next, which is Tulsa and Mississippi State?
Mississippi State wins that huge brawl at the
Mississippi State, their brawl. We'll put it up. I'll put it up in sync with me reacting to it. I haven't watched it before. I was saving it because I did want to like do a live reaction to it. So this is a live. I'm gonna sync it up. This is a live reaction of me reacting to the brawl between these two teams. So should be interesting. My God. So what? They just like started pushing at each other, and then there was a whole like fight as they're chasing each other down the sidelines.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. It was an
It's
ugly
crazy.
brawl, honestly.
Yeah, that's a lot of. My God. But Mississippi State does pull the upset, which is pretty crazy, but definitely not good for either of these teams to be involved in this kind of thing. You just don't want to see that.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. Yeah, it was ugly.
Definitely ugly.
All right, you got the Arizona Bowl. You got Ball State destroying number 22 San Jose State 34-13. Didn't expect the upset there. I usually go by the team that's ranked higher, which we'll get at in
Sorry, what team are we talking? What game are we talking about?
We're talking about the Arizona Bowl, Ball State versus San Jose State. Ball State goes with the huge upset.
Ball State, San Jose State. Obviously, both of those teams aren't usually very high ranked. Or sorry, Ball State isn't actually ranked. So San Jose State obviously not usually ranked, but Ball State was also 6-1 going into that game. San Jose State was obviously the favorite, but Ball State controlled the game. They were up 27-0 in the first quarter. And the only points scored by San Jose was 13 in the third quarter. So basically, Ball State had control of that game all the way through. San Jose went to the air for 268 yards, a touchdown, and 3 interceptions. And Ball State decided to throw the ball a lot as well, going for 217 yards and a touchdown. But I think those interceptions were really the game changer because there was at least 1 or 2 pick sixes, and so that really changed the whole game with those 3 interceptions.
Sure. All right, and lastly, in the not New Year's Six games, we have the Liberty Bowl. You got West Virginia versus Army. West Virginia comes out on top, 24-21. I like this Army team. I wanted them to win it, but West Virginia, yeah, they won it in a close one.
Army almost pulled off that game-winning drive, but couldn't quite cap it off there.
Yeah. All right, now going into the important games. You got the Peach Bowl. You got number 9 Georgia versus Cincinnati. Number 8, the Peach Bowl.
Yeah.
I wanted Cincinnati to win, honestly, but it is what it is. Cincinnati, they failed to ice the game. They had to punt it, and Georgia pulled off a
There,
really nice drive. Yeah.
Georgia's kicker, or Georgia's kickers, have been
Yeah.
so clutch, hitting big field goals over and over. Their old kicker Blankenship hit a lot of clutch field goals for them as well. So Georgia has just been kicking field goals, winning games. They've had great
Yeah.
kickers.
Florida, I mean Georgia has a history of good kickers. Yeah, they're good. They can hit the clutch field goals.
JT Daniels for Georgia throws for almost 400 yards, a touchdown, interception. Desmond Ritter throws for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. Cincinnati put the ball didn't put the ball on the ground, but they kept it on the ground a little bit more as sorry. Ford rushed for 100 yards and a touchdown, but obviously they didn't get the win because of their
The poor time
game-winning
management
field goal and
skills
poor time management.
Yeah, and I failed to ice the game on their second to last drive. If you're counting the desperation heave at the end, he actually got a safety. So, all right, moving on. We got the Citrus Bowl. Northwestern, they won by multiple scores against Auburn.
Nothing surprising.
Yeah, it's not
like,
a surprise.
Nothing surprising. Like Northwestern just showed how tough of a defense they have. Versus this Ohio State team, which we will get into later, but obviously they beat Clemson, they blew them out. But
Yeah.
we'll get into that later. But obviously showed how good they were, on top of Ohio State showing how good they are. So that team is a lot better than everybody thought. Northwestern is usually overrated, but this year, not as much so, I think.
All right. Should we move on to the semifinal games, or should we do the rest?
Let's go to the rest of the New Year's Six and stuff here.
Right. You got the Gator Bowl. You got North Carolina State versus Kentucky. Kentucky wins by 2 points. Close one. I don't think many people, except
I think most people would have picked NC State, but
I don't think. Yeah, you go.
I mean, Kentucky controlled this game. NC State almost came back, but too little, too late, unfortunately. As they threw a pick late in the game and ended up losing.
All right, you got the Outback Bowl. Mississippi comes out on top over number 11 ranked Indiana.
Indiana, no starting quarterback, a lot of players opt out, and so they were screwed. Their offense wasn't very good. I mean, Ole Miss kind of didn't dominate, but they were winning the whole game until the very end when Indiana did, again, too little, too late, and scored 14 to keep it close, but nothing going there at the end.
Yeah, Indiana, no Michael Penix. Yeah, they had no shot in that game. All right, you got the Fiesta Bowl. Iowa State, they won by 17 against Oregon.
I think this game was a lot closer than I expected. I think I said during our podcast where we predicted this game that I think it would be closer than people expected, but I think I did. Sorry, no, because the bowl games weren't decided, so... No, so I think...
One sec. In case all of you were wondering, the podcast where we made our picks for these bowl games, unfortunately, Zach's microphone did not go into the file, so we recorded an entire podcast, and it did not pick up his audio, so we had to scrap it.
Yeah. So, Oregon obviously losing a lot closer than I thought, but I mean that's the obvious pick.
Yeah, Oregon's not great this year. All right, and then we got the Orange Bowl. Texas A&M win 41-27.
So
again, UNC
was up. I think they were up 13-7 approaching halftime. Sorry, no, I think they were up 20 20-17 approaching the end of the third quarter. But Texas A&M scored 24 in the fourth quarter to North Carolina 7 to make this game look like a giant blowout, even though the first 3 quarters UNC was winning.
Yeah. All right. So I think it's safe now to move on to the
Yeah.
college football semifinals game.
Let's just start with the clear, obvious winner.
All right. You got Notre Dame versus Alabama. Notre Dame never had a chance in this game.
Yeah.
Honestly, Alabama, their offense is too much. Their defense overwhelmed Notre Dame's offense, and everyone expected Alabama to win. Nobody gave Notre Dame a shot.
Notre
rightly so.
Dame's coach came out and said we had our chance to win. And I just don't know what game he was watching. I don't know what game he was watching. Brian Kelly, I don't know what he was looking at because they were getting dominated the whole game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then moving up, so Mac Jones dominated again, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. Najee Harris rushed for 125 yards. Crazy hurdle, by the way. We will put that on screen now.
Yeah, if you
that
saw that
hurdle was
highlight,
crazy.
It's a really, really nice hurdle by Najee Harris, and he just gets tackled before he gets into the end zone. They score anyway, so
yeah.
So.
And then, so moving on from that, the obvious bowl game, we have Ohio State Clemson. I think, even though the game was pretty 50-50 going in, I think most people would have picked Clemson if they had to pick. Even me as an Ohio State fan, I picked Clemson to win this game. I thought Clemson had this game pretty wrapped up easily, but their middle linebacker goes out with an early, dirty hit targeting call, and from there, Ohio State really ran with it. They scored 21 unanswered in the second quarter to take a lead of 35-14 and traded scores with Clemson the entire rest of the game. As an Ohio State fan, watching the game, I was on the edge of my seat until the clock hit 0. I knew Clemson could score, and so I wasn't going to be confident in this game being over until the clock hit 0. Trey Sermon comes up big in this game. 200 yards. He's really surged up in the draft boards and surged into the picture as one of the better running backs in NCAA football. Although he is gone after the season guaranteed because he is a grad transfer out of Oklahoma. So this is his last season guaranteed. Trevor Lawrence throws for 400 yards, 2 interceptions as the game's leading passer. Although Ohio State did win the game with Justin Fields throwing for 385 yards, 6 touchdowns with 1 interception.
Yeah. Trey Sermon, incredible. He turned into an Ohio State legend overnight with that performance against Northwestern. And hopefully he can replicate that performance in the championship game against Alabama, but that's we're going to cover another day.
Speaking of the championship game with Alabama, we have a little bit of breaking news here. It's not new to the hour, because this will be uploaded later, but there are talks about delaying the national championship game because of COVID problems at Ohio State. Ohio State has some COVID cases, and they're talking about delaying the national championship because of that, which would definitely be a very interesting story as things develop. It'll be interesting to see what they do with that if that does end up being the case.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's a very interesting thing. I advise you guys to keep an eye on that because the situation is still forming. It could very much change from the time this gets uploaded and tomorrow, to be honest. And yeah, it's very interesting.
With COVID, a lot of times you have day-to-day changes. With college football in general, you have a lot of day-to-day issues a lot of the time because day-to-day issues just because of COVID. It's just the world in general with COVID just seems to be day-to-day changes because of how COVID can fluctuate and how different things start to happen with COVID. So, yeah.
Yeah. Can we talk about Justin Fields? Uh, he gets a really dirty hit on him, and really hard hit. Might have fractured his ribs or even maybe broken one. But
That is the other interesting part about the national title is questions about Justin
Justin,
Fields playing. I I think he will play, but there are no guarantees.
yeah, Ryan Day is Ohio State coach. He says that Justin Fields almost most certainly will play, but
No
yeah,
guarantees,
the
and
rib
obviously,
injury.
if he's already weak and with a rib injury, another hit to that area, another hit like that could send him out of the game, and that would be game over for the Buckeyes, most likely. Unless we have Cardale
Yeah,
Jones
Justin
part two
Fields,
coming out of our backup.
CJ Stroud.
Yep.
Yeah, and yeah, that'll be it for today's podcast. I
Short
hope you
podcast. We
guys
are we
enjoyed.
are double uploading podcasts this week.
Yep,
We are
we
double
will have
uploading
another
podcasts
one
this
on
week.
Thursday. We missed 2 podcasts in the past. We are making that up for with double uploads this week. And yeah, next week we'll be covering the national championship game and taking our bets on it.
Moving from there, we will be moving into the NFL playoffs. I know we have not covered NFL yet, but as college football ends, we will be moving into the NFL playoffs. And then we'll probably add in some more fun segments where we do some dumb stuff and a little bit less serious sports talk. But other than that, yep, that'll be it for this episode. If you guys want to stick around, you can subscribe and you can get notifications whenever we post another podcast. But there will be double uploads this week. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast.